Hello everyone, and welcome to VLAN, Video Lighting, Audio, Music, and Photography How-To Show, brought to you by MattHaslamProductions.com. Video lighting, audio, music, and photography, graphic design, all sorts of different things for your business needs over at MattHaslamProductions.com, the area's most recommended since 2001 in live and recorded productions of all shapes and sizes. So, today on the program, we're talking about invoices and contracts because here at MHP, we are all about helping businesses in every which way possible, including how to get all of their clients to have a professional look. And here on our screen right now is basically how we do it on all of our contracts to make them look very professional for all of our customers out there. And some people might think that, oh, well, you need these very expensive programs like FreshBooks or something that cost $50 a month to get all of your invoicing done online. And if you do enough work throughout the year, it's worth it. Or even if you do enough work per year, you might just want to keep that money to yourself. That's a big expense to have as a company, even one that's larger in size. I mean, really, to have $50 a month in an expense is a lot to take on. So before you go and do that, try to make your professional contracts on your own and keep all of your accounting on your own in programs like Microsoft Excel, which come, sort of with your computer. I know that it's like $100 expense in general there to get the programs initially. I'm not talking about the 365 versions, which absolutely suck and you only get them for a year. I'm talking about the program that you actually buy for your business, which, yes, I have the personal option for my personal computer, even though I use it for business purposes. Hey, so be it. I'm a sole proprietor of my company, and so I want to keep all of my records all in Excel. So in the previous episode, we talked about how to actually keep all of your books all together and how to figure out the cost of every single job, how to figure out, how much money you're making, your profit and loss, all that kind of stuff. But today we're talking specifically about contracts and invoices and receipts and all that greatness in Excel. So how do we go about doing that? Well, the first thing to figure out is what you're actually going to charge your customers. So this is something that your customers will never see, and hopefully they never see it, because this is actually what your cost is going to be in doing it, in time and effort and any labor that you have, any expenses you have getting to the job, all that kind of stuff. This is where you figure all that stuff out at. And it's a very simple little thing that we made in about 10 to 15 minutes. Not that hard. But generally, we just have a general order here of what equipment do they want? For your business, it might be what different items do they want? What different SKUs do they want to purchase that day? The quantity, the amount of, for us, it's the amount of days that they need that piece of equipment or whatever, or the amount of days that they need that package, Description would be what that item actually is described as. You might have this column as SKU details of SKU numbers, for keeping track of a certain item number throughout your entire inventory, just to make sure that you're kind of on track. And that's also something that's kept in the other books as well, of making sure that you have enough of an item at all times. But how much are you going to charge that customer? Now, all of this kind of stuff is after you figure out what your pricing will actually be. And, for that, we have MHP Price Book, which I will not show you inside, even though there's probably a lot of viewers out there that want to see in that. But no one gets to see that besides employees. So basically, unit is how much you're charging the customer for that certain item. And you're going to notice here, it's very, very simple. It is A4, which is this blue one right here, times the number of days that they're going to need that product, and then times per unit, which is how much I'm charging per item that they're buying. So it's pretty straightforward. All of those are the same. So if I say I want 20 of something for 5 days, and I want, let's say batteries, a battery. So I'm going to charge, I think, 75 cents a battery, but they want 20 for 5 days. That's 100 batteries, and it automatically does the math of, $75. Seriously, nothing in this that you're ever going to see on these programs is our actual pricing, so don't take that as literally what we charge. But down here, I'm also keeping track of my labor. How much am I going to charge my customer for my time and my effort? How much for my employees' time and effort? So all of that's down here. I'm going to need 2 engineers for a total of 10 hours each. Audio engineer, I don't know, for a rate of $5 an hour. Obviously, that is not what we charge, but it does all that math for us, and it's very, very simple and straightforward. But if you're going to notice here, I can do any price in any of these, and it adds it up to my total. This is my total of the description of their general order, and then this is the total of the labor that's going out into that. So I can break that down for my customer, or I can keep it as a whole package if I want. If I want to say, hey, your package is going to cost $600, then I can do that. Or if I want to, I can go in and I can say, your package is $500, and you're going to, and another line in my contract can be labor, $100. Again, nothing is actual numbers. You're not going to see that on the program. And just as a little side note, this entire Excel workbook is not going to be available for download anywhere, so please don't ask that in the comments below. But this is all very easy to make in Excel for yourself for anything that your company needs. Like I said, this is what we use. So maybe you want to put SKU details in here. Maybe you want to put your actual price book right alongside this, so hey, this is a little cheat sheet for myself of what this item is, instead of going to a book all the time. So anyway, you figure out what your price is going to be to your client. And this is all stuff that I generally figure out while I'm on the phone with a client. But where do I go from here? What actually makes them sign on the dotted line? Where is that dotted line? And what are they signing for? Well, that's in the next sheet on this. This is the tabs at the very bottom of the screen, if you can notice that. And here we have a video contract. Now we have a video, a photography, and an audio and lighting contract. We also have a rental contract. So 4 different contracts, 4 different terms and conditions, because we just do different things for our company. We have another one for graphic design. So there's 5, I think, and there's performances. We do a lot for our company, and we do a lot for our customers. We need different contracts for almost any service we're providing to them. So it's kind of unfortunate for us, but if you're a straightforward company that basically just does one thing, like plumbing or something, then you can basically make one contract for your customers. We just happen to do a lot of different things in a lot of different facets that the terms and conditions for those things would be insane to try to put all in one giant contract. It just wouldn't work for us. So anyway, this again is pretty simple. This is something we came up with in about 5 to 6 hours, I would say. It wasn't that hard. Up here we have our header, which for our actual company we use our actual letterhead, which includes this logo, and then on the right hand side it includes our address, our phone number, our email address, our EIN number, our website. All that information is at the very top of every single contract, every page of our contract. That way, if they're wondering where to send the check to, that information is right at the top of the page. But with this being video, I don't want our address actually out there at the moment, for security purposes. But anyway, so all of these different columns are pretty much all 0.5 wide. And, you're going to notice that I changed the scaling of the page a little bit, so it's, only half an inch on each side of the page. That way, it has as much room as possible to print on every single page that we get out. So we basically could just combine 2 cells here to make this first column, 3 cells to make this column, again, 2, 3, 2, 3, and then we have bill to. Who is our purchaser? What is their address? Who is the contact at that company? What's their phone number, their office phone number? What's their cell cell phone number in case basically, you know, uh, we get to the venue and they're not around. Who do we call? What's their cell phone number, their email address, their website. If they have a purchase order number, we want to put that in there. Where's the venue at? What's the address? Because it's not always the customer's address. Contact there, phone cell, email, web, meeting room. Where are we going to once we get to that building? Delivery time, what time we need to be there, what time the show time is, what time the pickup time is. All of this information, by the way, it's highlighted, is all information that's specific to our company. You're maybe not going to need that if you deal with direct customers that are buying certain items from you, like a product company. Then you're not going to have that section right there. You're not going to say ship to. You're going to ship directly to your customer. I mean, it might be different sometimes where you're shipping, but for the most part, it's going to be generally who's buying it. Invoice number, again, that comes from your account summary, which we talked about in the last episode. What date did they originally order this item? What date are you invoicing them for this order? For us, we have event dates. When is the actual event going to be? We need to know that. When's the deposit due, and when's the total due by? Typically, this for a product company would be, when are we planning on shipping out your item? And then finally, deposit due by and total due by. Sometimes this is like net 30 something for certain things. Sometimes it's net 5 for like political kind of work. Other times it's just a certain date that you come up with of, I need a deposit by this date or else I'm probably not going to do that event. I need some sort of way to know that I'm going to need to do this event. This next section is fairly straightforward in our contracts. It's how many do you want of something, how many days do you want it, what's the description of that product or that specific package that we're selling you, how much does each one of those packages cost, and this one is actually programmed to multiply units by days by quantity. So we can put numbers in there and it'll add all of that up for us again in the amount column. The amount column goes way down here and gets added up into our order total down here. And then we have order total comes down 2 little spaces here. This just simply equals this number right here. Then we have labor total. How much is labor in here? For instance, if we had in our price formulator that the general order was, let's say, $100 for the general order, and our labor would be, 10 hours at $10 an hour. We would bring that number in and say, okay, $200 is your total. Well, we want to say the same thing. And I know this kind of gets repetitive of putting things in a second time. There's no real easy way to do it other than just copy and paste all the numbers. So we're going to say video package, and that costs $100. So then that equals that times that times, again, that. Okay, so now our video package is that, and we have, how many hours did I say? 10 hours? 10 hours, one person, labor, and I want $10 an hour, which again is stupid little numbers I'm putting in here just for example's sake. We add that up. Now, okay, so your total is $200. But let's say I don't want to show it that way. I want to show that the order total is $100 here, and then the labor total is $100 as well. So now it's $200, and it breaks it all down for me. Delivery fees or whatever I want to charge for actually delivering that item to them. So $25, just for example's sake. So their subtotal is $225. Well, now are they sales tax exempt? Are they taxable? What's happening? Let's say this customer is taxable. So I bring that up and I equals the subtotal times 0.06 or whatever your state sales tax is, and $13.50 is the sales tax for that order. And now that adds it up automatically into total amount due right here, and then I just divide total amount by 50%, and I get that number for my 50% deposit amount that I generally require for customers to sign on for their event. Very bottom here, it's thank you for your business, and page 1 of 3, so I can determinately say to them, hey, this is page 1. If you don't see page 2 or 3 on the PDF that I send you of this contract, contact me, because that's what you need to see. That's important information as well. I also put a little box here for attachments. I just simply shaded my box a little bit with some shading, and put terms and conditions page 2 of 3, and left a little space here in case I have a diagram of that, what we're going to do for them, or let's say we have a storyboard for them. I want to be able to put in there storyboard page 4, or whatever it happens to be. So I want to be able to put all that in there. And then basically when this prints out, this actually has formatting on it, so there's lines on there a little bit, and that way they know I need to sign here and I need to date this contract here, and then right below that is payments can be made in cash or check made payable to Haslam Productions. So pretty straightforward. Now down here on the second page is all of our terms and conditions. These are our actual terms and conditions. I'm not lying about any of these. This is our actual thing. Terms and conditions for video production as of June 6th, 2017. We haven't changed them since then, because our actual lawyers have looked over this contract and told us that it's a very equal contract for our customers and ourselves, so that our customers protected from us possibly and believe me, we don't try, and believe me, we have never screwed over our customers, but our contract actually protects them more than it protects us as a company. It protects them from us screwing them over, which we don't want to do. Period. We don't want to do that. I want to make that clear. But it protects them from that. And it protects us from them, getting something for free without paying for it. For instance, this first one is equipment. To produce the production in the best way possible, Haslam Productions will bring all the necessary equipment, including but not limited to camera sites, audio equipment stands, and cables. We agree that if a piece of our equipment is damaged by one of our staff, we will not hold the customer responsible. However, if any piece of our equipment is damaged or stolen by any of the customer staff, cast, crew, or spectator at the production, the customer listed above will be held responsible for the repair or replacement cost. So, hey, you break it, you buy it, We go over parking and loading, safety. Safety delay. What if we have to delay the event because of some sort of safety issue on anyone's part, whether it be another vendor or whether it be us? Something is just not safe for the audience to be there. We want to put that in our contract that we're allowed to do that. Right to postpone, camera placement. Our cameras are going to be certain places, and we have a diagram of that. Once that diagram is agreed to, the customer cannot change it. And if certain audience members sit behind those cameras, it's their fault for sitting behind them. Then we have filming a live event. We have this certain right, special projects permission, live event permissions, all that sort of stuff. Set up and tear down time, which means we're allowed to take the time to set up and set down all of our gear safely, so it's safe in our truck when it goes back to our office. Editing, what happens after the project, customer portal, where are they going to sign in to see the project, how can they make changes, and are those changes free or do they cost more money, final product, how do they get it delivered to them. Basically we go over, this is a very important one for videographers and photographers. MHP has the right to use a portion of any production we film in our future advertising, including demo and show reels. That doesn't always get included in our contracts because we're sometimes doing network TV work where they don't allow that, but for the most part we put it in there for a lot of the contracts that I do, at least. Deposit listed above is non-refundable and due at the deposit due date. The final amount is due upon delivery of the final product. Bounce canceled checks will result in an extra fee, and post-dated checks will not be accepted. That's pretty standard in any contract you do. MHP has a right to have business cards on site with us. If the customer owns the location, we're allowed to be there to film or whatever, because permission to be on a certain location is required on many of the locations that we go to. And finally, and most importantly, on all of your contracts, you should always have your company is responsible for the amount of this contract and nothing further. That way, if they don't like what you did, or if, they think, oh, the audience didn't hear properly or something like that, and they want to give back and refund all of the different guests of the event all of their money, that's their discretion to do so. We are only responsible for the amount of the contract that we signed. So, hey, it's pretty straightforward stuff, but that way, you're not doing a project and then getting possibly sued for millions of dollars. You can still get sued for millions of dollars. This does not protect from someone suing for any particular reason. This just basically says in writing, hey, basically don't do that. They at least have something in writing that you can come back and say, hey, I'm willing to give you all your money back on this just to, get over this whole whatever happened. But now any judge or lawyer would be able to look at this and at least side more with you than they would have before. For photography, it's pretty much the same. Again, headers up here. The one thing that I did notice about making a contract in Excel was in Windows, it really does work well. In a Mac computer, you for some reason need to make your header a lot bigger than what it should have to be, and you have to, I'll show you here. Your margins are a little weird because what I always do in my header, my letterhead, is I make the photo over here 1 inch high, and that way my header is actually only 1 inch of the entire page. So it's a way to scale down what you're making your letterhead into, and that way it's pretty standard across all of our paperwork, even in Microsoft Word or whatever program we're using. That way I know that letterhead has to be 1 inch high. It's our way to keep all of our forms and contracts all looking the same through multiple programs, and any kind of letters that we have to write out from our company and stuff like that, make sure everything looks the same with the same letterhead. But one thing I noticed with all of that is, let's say over here, you're going to wonder why our margins are 1.75 inches. Now on a Windows computer, you're pretty much able to just do 1 inch there. I had to put 1.75, and on the bottom I had to put 0.8, even though they are not the dimensions of our actual letterhead and the bottom. So, sorry, yeah, the header and the footer. I'm sorry. Even though they are not the same exact margins as our header and footer, I still had to put those numbers in just because of the way Mac computers kind of configures Excel for some reason. I don't know why that all happened. And another thing I noticed is it was really difficult to put our terms and conditions on 2 different pages. In theory, you should just be able to put all of these as combined cells and, put all your terms and conditions in. But for some reason, when you try to print this, it'll actually cut off half of a line here or something, and you only see half of the word, and it's really weird. Or what I also had to do is I had to keep a couple lines down here, because if I go to print this right now, right, you're going to notice, where's my print at? Okay. That is now pretty much at the bottom of my page, It's a lot closer than what it appears right here. In order to just keep everything where, if I try to put number 8 up here, the whole number 8 wouldn't fit on this page, and it would cut off half of a line for some reason while I print it. So I had to break it up a little bit, and it was really weird to do that. But once you format that kind of stuff, like I said, making the actual contract itself is very, very easy. When you go to actually start formatting, that's what takes a little bit more time, but still it's generally pretty easy to make a contract here. Now, what about our payment receipt? How do customers know that they made a payment and you received that payment? Let's say they sent you a check and they want some sort of validation that here's what we paid you, and they can go on their merry way, and now they have a written trail of this is what we paid you. Most customers are going to want that. Most bigger customers are going to require that every time they make a payment. It doesn't matter if it's $5 or $5 million, they want a receipt for it. So all we have to do is, let's say we have a customer that made a payment. So we'll go over here into our contract, wherever that was at, whether it be a video, a photography, audio and lighting contract, whatever it was. We'll go over here and we will just basically copy and paste all of the bill to information, the ship to information, the invoice information. All of that just gets copy and pasted, because all three of those, doesn't matter if it's the contract, the payment receipt, or the invoice, all three of those headers are all the same. They're all formatted to the same size, and that way I can just copy and paste and all of that information is the same, box by box. Right? And that way I don't have to spend all this time putting information in each individual box 3 or 4 different times. I can just copy and paste between these little tabs here. Now, okay, so let's say they had this video contract and it was for $200, right? So I'm going to put date, which today is the 26th, I believe, of 2019, of April, and video package. Just, again, really, really simple stuff. So the rate for that was $100, which I'm not actually not going to put it in there. Hold on. The package was $100 right there. They also got labor, and they spent 10 hours at $10 an hour, and that was $100. So obviously that's a little bit finicky, and you're gonna have to work with that a little bit. It's not a perfect little contract yet, but in general, that's what we do when we're trying to put labor in. And then let's say tomorrow, right? They'll make a payment. So 4/27, they'll make a payment, or whenever they actually make a payment. And this is the deposit payment. So we're gonna go over here to method and put check in. Reference number, whatever the check number was, so 5294, whatever the check number was. That way they can look it up in their records quite easily of this check paid this deposit. And then they paid $100 for their deposit today. Okay, great. Now all of that is brought down. All the credits are brought down. Credits are any any amount that's against their account that they still owe you. Any payments is anything that they paid to you so far on that specific invoice. So invoice total is there and total payments is there, and these are simply subtracted. This is invoice total minus the payments due, and now they only owe us $100. And right below that I put payments can be made in cash or check made payable to Matt Haslam Productions, just to simply remind them how they can make a payment to me. And generally right below that I'll write something of your next payment is due on this certain date, just to remind them, hey, your total is due by this certain date. And again, at the bottom, I have thank you for your business, page 1 of 1. Pretty straightforward there. But let's say they just have a simple thing that they just have to pay for. They don't have to sign for it. They don't have to, sign on to terms and conditions and stuff like that. They only have to basically agree that this is what they received, and they just get an invoice for paying it. A contract is basically something you send out before a project to say, this is what I agree to pay for this certain service, and this is how it's all going to be done in terms and conditions. An invoice is something you send after the fact. For mostly is used for products and stuff like that you're selling. It's sometimes used for different political work you're doing of like, hey, or a project that you didn't know how many hours it would take beforehand, or editing or anything like that. This is something where you can send an invoice later and here's how much is due. It's not you had to agree to this certain amount beforehand. It's here's how many hours it took and here's what those hours cost. So again, I can just copy and paste all that bill to information, the ship to information, and the invoice information all into there, and I can simply write it out whatever I want to charge them for quantities, the number of days. If it's a certain amount of hours I had to work, I put quantity, the number of hours I had to work, the number of days I had to work that many hours, and I write editing or something like that, and I write $2 an hour or something. Again, these are not our actual numbers, but just for example's sake, it's pretty straightforward. And okay, so $20 I want to charge this person. Attachments none, because this is a simple invoice. I could have attachments potentially, but I don't have to. So I automatically write none there. And again, customer signature if I really need it for that certain product or that certain invoice. Basically, all this is straightforward. I maybe want to charge them $10 to deliver that product. So there's that. And this customer was sales tax exempt, so they don't have to pay that 6% sales tax, and $30 is what they owe me. Typically, for an invoice, you wouldn't have 50% deposit, but if you want to let them have and make payments to you in different increments, then you can certainly add that in there. But again, there's no second page to that because it's a simple invoice. And then if they pay on that invoice, they can come over here and make a payment receipt. All of this is pretty straightforward. How to format this all is, again, pretty straightforward. All I literally did was create an Excel sheet, and you go into view up here and you say, I want to look at the page layout so I know what's going to fit on one page. That way what I'm seeing is what actually is being printed. I created columns, which are all a 1/2 inch each across here, and then margins on the left and right are a 1/2 inch as well. So I have a lot of columns to work with, and I just simply merge cells and put little borders on each and every cell to make it so that it looks all visually appealing. That way when I print it, it looks really, really cool. And don't know how to zoom in there, but it looks really nice in the end. And that way an invoice that's going out there looks professional to my customers. And now I can bring all this information into my account summary over on the other thing that we created in the last episode. But it's, again, just Excel. This is all a program you can buy and a one-time license fee, and then create all of these invoices for years and years and years. I've been using this same kind of format for, I think, about 12 years now, and I've been in business for about 17. In the very beginning, I was trying to figure out how to do this all, and I was honestly trying to just write out invoices, and it just looked so unprofessional. Once I got to Microsoft Excel and Word, it just basically allowed me to make so much more professional of invoices for my customers. It allowed me to make bids and quotes for much, much larger scale projects and actually look like I know what I'm doing from the first initial paperwork I send them. It doesn't matter what kind of videos I make or products I give to my customers. I can make $1 million products for my customers that look, just incredible. But if I don't have a professional invoice, the invoice and the contract is the first thing they're going to see before they see that product that they're buying. And it's hard for a customer to, sign on the dotted line down here to something that, wow, you hand wrote your contract. It's hard for them to sign on to that. I know there's a lot of performers out there or videographers or photographers that honestly do all of their contracts on napkins with a Sharpie marker. It might work for you. And I'm not trying to, downgrade that. What I'm saying is, if you scale up to something like this, that's, yes, it takes a little bit of time to create these kind of formats and templates, and then you simply just go in here and hit, save as a template, Excel template, which is .xltx on your computer, and that way you can just bring up a template and have it all blank for yourself. And what I suggest is doing an invoice or two just for example's sake, for your own sake, and example numbers, and make up, just ridiculous things and bring it in from your own price book and see if the actual formatting works, see if all of the multiplication and stuff like that, all the formatting you did on these cells works properly. But once you start doing this, it's going to start looking really professional to your customers out there, and it's going to give them the peace of mind from the get-go. Wow, this looks really, really well done. They're a professional company. I'm going to sign on because I know they're professional. I know the product that's going to come to me later on is professional. I know it's going to take a couple hours to do this kind of thing and make it look that way, but really, it's worth that kind of time, you know? So again, if you're a company out there or your organization out there looking to kind of expand how you do things more professionally, Excel sheets and invoices and contracts and all that kind of stuff is only one step of the process. Really, what you need to expand your company and your organization and to get you on the more professional side of things is you need some content out there as well. So please do hop on over to matthaslamproductions.com. I will leave a link in the description box below to this video. That way you can see all the products and services we offer as a company. We do plenty of great commercial video work, safety training videos, all that kind of stuff. Any video content you need, any graphic design you need, including product and company logos. We do all sorts of different live event lighting and sound. We do all sorts of photography for products and your overall business photography. We do headshots for lawyers, realtors, all that kind of stuff. So please hop on over to matthaslamproductions.com and check all of those great services out. We are the area's most recommended company for a reason, and we've been that way for 17 years now, since 2001, and I'm so proud of that. And that is honestly partly thanks to our contracts and invoices we send out there that look professional to our customers. And if you become a customer today, you will see this contract with everything you've seen in it today, just with our actual letterhead, including our address, which again, I don't want to put out there for the world to see, but you will see this actual contract when you sign up to be a customer. So please hop on over there and give us a call today at 570-294-4211. And you'll be put in contact directly with me, Matt Haslam. Thank you so much for watching, and please go out there and support small businesses because it is vital to our economy to make small businesses across America work. So thank you all so much for joining us today, and I wish you the best of luck. Have a great one, everyone, and bye for now. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe to our channel for plenty more great content to come in the future, and hop on over to matthaslamproductions.com to see all of our great products and services. Thank you.